Hello, hello, all you lovely listeners. Here we are back with Niranjana. Would you?
And Shreya over here, and this is the first time we're doing a video series as well, so this is pretty interesting. I am so excited. I'm super stoked about this. What about you, Shreya?
I am super stoked. I hope you all are super stoked after a pretty long gap, isn't that? We had
Yeah,
some exciting news to share.
yeah, we do have some really good news, and it's been a while since our last one, so we just hope you guys tune in and let's sync it up.
Yes, and today's topic is on the topic of diet. The topic of diet meaning everyone has a different type of intake, has this different type of body and different type of understanding how their body and mind work. And I think this is one topic that has been very much on people's minds, and the word has like spread quite a bit. Can you guess what that is?
Well, it is the diet.
Diet and also the gut health,
The
like.
gut health, the gut microbiome, everything about the gut is something which people are talking about because now people are getting more and more aware of the arising health concerns because due to processed food and the processed dairy products or the processed over processed gluten products that we get, and the gut is becoming more and more sensitive and more intolerant towards different kinds of foods.
Yeah, and we can see these reactions pretty much in day-to-day life where it's affecting like the skin, it's affecting like their body, they're getting different symptoms, and it's it's come to a point where people are understanding the impact it has in their life. I'm sure we have come across a couple of people who have made a kind of change or somewhat change after they realized at some point this needs to change and they have seen a significant change in their life.
So
So, yeah.
this can be because of having gluten, this could be of having dairy, it could be having fish. People have various different kinds of intolerance towards different things, and that's why the word diet comes into play. Because when we talk about food, availability of food is so diverse. We have availability of anything. And what classifies as food? Anything which is edible. So, with this wide variety, it's not possible that every single human being will eat everything because there are people who don't eat specific food groups. So, a person and the practice where you have specific and selected food groups is what a diet is. And Shreya, don't you believe that there are various different kinds of diets?
There are various different types of diet, and also just before we get into this, we want to give a little warning that we respect every sort of diet that exists. We also understand that there has been a massive change from an earlier time to now, where back in the days our family and ancestors used to possibly eat everything and anything, but there has been a lot of environmental changes that has been going on recently, and it's impacting human life mentally and physically. So this is a little feedback, or a little, I can say, like a little FYI before we get into the topic of diet that we would like you to know. And yes, with that, I would like to say they are different types of diet. And today we would pretty much focus on the different categories of diet that exist so you can kind of be educated on what kind of diets exist out there.
Yes, because there's so much more than just to eat veg and non-veg. Various different kinds. And I also very recently, only after a few years, I learned that there is something called a plant-based diet, or there's something called an ovo-lacto diet. So there are various different kinds of diets. And coming to the first one is the omnivores, the carnivores diet, which is basically one who eats everything in terms of all kinds of meat, all kinds of fish, including red meat, your fruits, your vegetables, your dairy products, pretty much anything under the sun, including meat, is your omnivorous diet.
Yeah, then there is one called the fruit diet. So, what is a fruit diet? A fruit diet is someone who kind of focuses only on different variety and categories of fruits. They don't have any intake of vegetables or any type of meat at all. So, they go completely on a fruit diet. A fruit diet is great for detoxifying. It's also important to know that by making fruit juices, it kind of increases the sugar level as well. So having these intakes of fruit, it might be very light. and might be very nice for a limited period of time. I don't think it's great for a really long period of time because you need some certain nutrition for your body. So there's one thing called the fruit diet. Don't be shocked, some people even choose a selective fruit that they go on a fruit diet. So if it's a seasonal fruit of like mangoes, for example, during the summer we have a lot of mangoes,
Yes,
so
true.
they kind of go on a mango diet, and that could be a seasonal fruit diet and might change depending on the seasons as well. So this is a fruit, what a fruit diet is.
The best thing about a fruit diet, even though I personally won't advocate for it, is that it's rich in fiber, and excess of
Yes.
fiber is not a bad thing. The more the fiber, the better, and it's really good for your gut microbiome. So when we speak about
Yes.
the gut, 70% of our immunity lies in the gut microbiome. So fiber is something which is easily digestible, and it's really good for our immune system and for our various different kinds of gut related issues to diminish. The more fiber, the better. So having a fruit diet, I wouldn't say have only fruits, but have a lot of fruits in your
Yes.
diet is something which is really good for you.
True. And one more thing to let you know, the gut has two types of bacteria. They have good bacteria and they have bad bacteria. So it's always essential to know that these bacteria are much needed to kind of do their work to help us out. So they are good bacteria that is much needed, and then there are bad bacteria which you don't really need. You can navigate how your bacteria is doing depending on how your bowel movement is. So there is also another education regarding that which we won't touch upon this time because it's a whole different topic to talk about how you can navigate how your gut is based on your bowel system. So today is only about diet. We don't go there.
So the thing is, when we have another different kinds of diets, so another one besides the omnivorous diet and the fruit diet is the pescatarian diet. That means that they eat a vegetarian diet plus fish, which means no red meat, none of the animal related things, but fish. That includes a pescatarian diet. The best thing about a pescatarian diet is that it includes omega 3 fatty acids, and omega 3 fatty acids come from fish. So that's what's really, really important and really, really good for you. So I highly vouch for omega 3 fatty acids, and for those who want to have fish, it is very healthy and it's very good for you. Provided you don't only eat fish, but you have a
Hmm,
balanced diet which can incorporate fish in it.
exactly. So I think we have completed two, three diets. Another diet that is very effective for some people is called the 3 hour diet. What is a 3 hour diet? A 3 hour diet is you start in the morning with a breakfast, and after you're done with your breakfast, you wait for 3 hours. After you wait for 3 hours, you have your next meal. It could be a snack, it could be a meal, but you choose a 3 hour break between your meal intake, which is what the 3 hour diet. It's known really well to help you digest, understand, and give a functionality to your body, knowing that if you're having at this time, your next intake will be after 3 hours. So your body, your stomach juices kind of already understand and go through a routine, which is very, very healthy for some people to do the 3 hour diet for weight reduction, for weight management. I won't say to put on weight, but for yeah, weight management and weight reduction, it's really good.
Yes, and the best thing about interval diets is that it gives you the time for the body to digest the food. So I personally follow 3 hour diet without even knowing it's called a 3 hour diet actually, but I think it's really good because it gives the body has a clock, and it really sinks in with the digestive system over a period of time, and that's why I would recommend a 3 hour diet, and I think it's mostly followed by people. The
Yes.
common norm of having breakfast, lunch, a snack, and then dinner is what the common norm follows. So that is a 3 hour diet. I think most of us follow this diet, and it is regularly accepted even in offices and schools run by the 3 hour diet as well. So that's
Yeah.
something which is regularly done. Touching upon this, there is the ovo lacto diet, which basically means you will have eggs, you will have dairy, you will have your fruits and your vegetables and your pulses, but you won't touch red meats, meat, or fish. Anything which is from animals or fish, but things which you have of eggs and dairy is perfectly fine. and your vegetarian diet. This is something which I used to follow before I went into a different diet, which is a plant based diet. But this incorporates anything which you can get from an animal or from an egg, chicken, as long as you're not harming it. And the plus side of this is that you can create various different kinds of delicious dishes, and you have a lot of variety and various different kinds of cuisines.
Yes. And the next one we will go is into the vegan diet. So vegan diet is technically it's what you have without any dairy involved in it, any animals involved in it, and any form of living creature, you can say, in your diet. So vegan kind of follows more on a plant related, but it also has gluten included in it. It just doesn't have any dairy in it. Apart from dairy, apart from meat, you have everything else. So I think Niranjana will give more detail what's the difference between a vegan and between a vegetarian.
Yes. So in a vegetarian diet, a lot of us follow a vegetarian diet. It's basically eating everything except for anything which has been killed. No meat, no fish, and a vegetarian diet can include eggs as well. But that is, people do call that as an eggetarian diet. But it's debatable on whether to say eggs is included in veg or not. But then there's also this concept of pure veg diet, which means you don't have eggs at all. Now, coming to the difference between veg and vegan, it is solely the absence of eggs and dairy. So, the absence of eggs and dairy go into a vegan diet. Now, it's interchangeably used of what is a plant based diet and what is a vegan diet. So, generally, the concept of vegan is basically without any harm of animals, no harm and no cruelty done to animals is a vegan diet. However, with the plant based diet, we're just referring to the nutrition aspects of a diet. So, plant based diet is the same thing as a vegan diet, but we don't talk about the whole aspect of animal cruelty. We go into a nutrition perspective and talking about what can be consumed without the absence of dairy and the absence of eggs completely from the diet. So that clarifies what's the difference between a plant-based diet and a vegan diet and a vegetarian diet. And of course, every each and every one of us consume various different kinds of diets, and that is maybe by culture, by the way we've been brought up in the conditioning of our society. It could be because of dietary regime, which is what we're going to touch upon, is about the various different kinds of health related issues and various different kinds of lifestyle related issues that we have, and that's why we go by these specific diets.
Yeah, and also to add up to that, some people have conditioned their body to certain amount of diet. So when you've been conditioned, which means that for a long period of time you've been having certain intakes, be it whether it's vegetarian, vegan, or non-veg, and suddenly decide to change their diet completely out of the blue, the gut and the body kind of have a very reverse reaction. That is because your gut and your body has been conditioned for so long period of time that taking a certain extreme step like keto diet or the plant-based diet can be a very extreme shift. So understanding to take it very slowly is also very important. The other diet that I would like to talk is another routinal diet, which is the morning sunrise to sunset diet. This is basically locking your body to a routine of how our sun functions. So as the sun rises, you start your first meal. As the sun is in the middle, you have another meal, and as it's time to set is when you have your dinner, which means that you would have your dinner pretty much before 7 or 6 p.m. Why is this diet very effectful for some people? Is that because your body gets the time to digest, as well they have the time to understand that with the sun they have extra energy to produce to digest these meals. It also helps a lot in your bowel system. It also helps a lot in sleep, especially if you're a non-vegetarian. Having this sort of diet flow and timing helps a lot, gives a lot of time for the body to digest before you fall asleep. So what technically happens is as you have your food, whether it's by 9 p.m. or 10 p.m., your body has a lot of tough time digesting it. So as you're sleeping, your body is trying to rest as well function at the same time to digest it, which might happen that in the morning when you wake up, you actually wake up with a tummy ache rather than a good morning rest. So this is how a routine diet works in helping out a good system and a good mental and physical peace.
Wow, Shreya, that was very insightful and very helpful. I actually had no idea about that diet. And I was also wondering because with non vegetarian diets, the digestion process is really long. It takes up to 6 to 8 hours, whereas the plant based diet takes about 2.5 hours. So it depends, and each and every body is very different. Our gut microbiome is conditioned by what we've been eating over the past several months, past several weeks and days. So I would
Yeah.
say if you're confused on what diet to follow, remember the key factors. One is avoid processed sugar at all costs, avoid any processed foods, avoid anything which is deep fried or oil. Don't have anything which is inclusive of maida in it. Avoid things which are overly baked. Commercially baked foods. You can avoid that and keep them. So those all classify under something which is known as trans fats. So trans fats is best to be avoided completely. And touching upon that, people are more sensitive into various different kinds of foods and food produce. Some people are lactose intolerant, some people have celiac, which means they cannot have gluten. So it depends upon what your body is used to. And I would suggest at the beginning, if you don't have any food allergies or sensitivities, it's important to experiment and see what different diets you have. However, I would suggest, regardless of whether you're a non vegetarian or you're a vegan, it's important to have your macros. And by macros, I mean you have a balance of your carbohydrates, your protein, and fiber. It is not okay to just eat only fruits or only your fiber or only eat carbs, that is, maybe only eat rice or pasta and not eat anything else. It's important to have a balance of your protein, carbohydrates, and fiber, and that way you can meet your macros and meet your nutrition requirements, regardless if you're a non vegetarian or you're a vegetarian. But going into this topic in a deeper thing, which we'll go later on, we will understand as why some people cannot eat dairy, or why some people will have repercussions or bad health repercussions if they have dairy or eggs.
Yes. And also to let you know that some people might be naturally born allergen to these, either it could be gluten or dairy or any other food allergy. There are also specific spaces to test whether you're allergic to certain food, and certain food will show up being an allergen because they'll show up in your skin. They might make you rashy, they might make you itchy. So there are ways to find out whether you're allergic. Also, one more thing to note is certain regions might have different variety of items. So if you're completely fine with certain items, say for example in India like fish, you might be fine with it, but if you go abroad to another region, some people might develop an allergen. You know why that happens? That happens because your body is not familiar with what is this new intake that you're taking in, and kind of give a reverse reaction again. So it is all right to understand that maybe in a certain region you're not allergic, but in a certain other region you might be allergic to the same thing. So it's much better to understand how allergens actually work. It's basically that your body is not familiar with it or haven't been adapted to it when you were young, at a young age. So it's something new and might take a little more time to understand the factors to this item.
There's also a direct link between weight control, weight management, and diet. That is the reason why 90% people go on diets, not because of any food restrictions. That is one reason. But for people who want to lose their fat and lose unnecessary body fat and be more lean and fitter, go into specific diets as well. It's not just for disease remission. So for
Exactly.
people who want to lose weight, it's very important to understand is to get rid of one is trans fats and get rid of saturated fats. And saturated fats, there are various different kinds of saturated fats. One being is maida, and another being is dairy. Dairy and meat are high in saturated fats. So some
Yeah.
people are a bit sensitive to that, and that's why it's recommended for some people to get rid of dairy and meat from their diet because they're high in saturated fat. And studies have shown that people who don't consume that, they're able to lose weight a lot more fast.
including sunflower oil.
Yes, that's
That's
also
also
true.
another one. Yeah. And also, one more thing I would like to add is with all these routinal diet or whatever diets we have mentioned, they can be a significant change in your mental health as well. You'll start noticing the more you kind of have these intakes, the more you feel much better mentally. So many people actually change their diet because they feel much more better mentally. They get more focused, they get more lightheaded, and have more better functionalities and focus after making such a change. This is not only to lose weight. There's also this routinal diet which I follow. I have my dinner before 6 or before 8 p.m. You can say it has helped me a lot with my weight. It has helped me also balance my weight. It has helped me in waking up without tummy aches. I have been having amazing peaceful sleep. I have been having a very, very good and better immune system since I've made this shift and made this change. It has reduced acidity. If you have any kind of acidity or reflex acid, it has really helped in that as well. There has been a significant change even on my skin, as you can see. We should put a before and after picture for this to prove it. But it has made a lot of changes where now I feel more energized, I feel more active, more productive. I have got a certain routine which has been so much more effective, and my body is more and more recognizing that okay, after I have dinner, it's much happier and doesn't need any more intake.
That's very insightful, Shreya. Thank you so much for sharing this. Another diet which is very, very healthy, I think one of the most healthiest diets out there, is the whole food plant based diet. This is basically very similar to a plant based diet, but we don't have anything which is processed, which means that there is no white rice involved, there is no maida involved, there is no sugar involved, there is no jaggery involved, no brown sugar involved. And there's no oil either. So anything which is processed, even in the tiniest form, is not involved, and it's just whole foods. So your whole foods are your vegetables, your fruits, your lentils, your pulses, um, everything which is natural from Mother Earth and not processed, like even oils, even cold pressed oils. Nothing which is having any processing done is avoided and eliminated. This is one of the most healthiest forms of diet, and it is the most effective to reverse diabetes as well.
Which is also a leading cause in India. A lot of people have diabetes.
Yes, yes.
So, and we just had a review like before doing this podcast where one of them even confirmed that their father reversed diabetes just by having a plant
Correct.
based diet.
And I reversed my pre-diabetes with having a plant-based diet as well. So it's very effective. And I personally wanted to share that I had very chronic acidity because I was on an ovo-lacto diet, which means I had eggs and dairy. But I felt like my acidity was just in my body, and I would have very chronic acid reflux in the mornings. But after 4 days of giving up eggs and dairy, my acidity vanished completely. And now, after 2 years of being plant-based, with no eggs, I can confidently say that I don't have any kind of acidity in my body.
Wow, that's brilliant shift.
Yes,
To hear that
yes,
acidity goes, there
yes.
must be a
So if you're
significant.
someone who has acid reflux or acidity, I would say try giving up eggs and dairy. And if you're someone who eat meat, try taking it off for a couple of days. I know a radical shift is not possible sometimes, but just take it off for a few days and see how you feel, and you'll be surprised that your body, your cells will be healing on a very natural level.
Yeah, I think this was quite a lot of education in terms
Yes.
of diet. I think I learned a lot, like how you can
Same.
reduce your acidity, how you can have a balanced diet. Even being a non vegetarian, you can have a balanced diet. Make sure you include veggies, your protein, rice, carbs, however you want to add it, and just have a balanced diet. That's also really good. And you can just avoid 1 or 2 days having a non-veg item as well will make a significant change. It might be a little tough initially, but you'll see the change. I promise.
So, what Shreya is suggesting in a scientific term, it would be basically saying have more anti inflammatory foods and have less inflammatory foods. The two kinds of classification of food, that's anti inflammatory, inflammatory. Anti inflammatory is more of your plant based foods, and inflammatory is more falling into your animal based foods.
Yes, and there are certain items which also have inflammatory. And what is inflammation? Like, I mean, we should explain that as well. So, inflammation is when we have two secretion, the estrogen and estrogen. And what happens is when they're in a balance, our entire body is in a balance. We can function right, everything. When one of them goes a little off balance, it would be like certain foods feeding or fueling the certain hormones. So if it's estrogen driven, it's more estrogen inflammation, and if it's estrogen, it becomes estrogen more inflammation. So inflammation is more of the expansion of flare up of any of the hormones that is going, which then affects us in terms of different ways. It could be either autoimmunes, or it could be disorders, or it could be any sort of form that shows up, which might be also in your skin, in your internal body, or ways to just find out that.
Yes. Thanks, Shreya. That was very insightful. I myself did not know about this. So, the more you share information, the more verified sources of information that you get that is not from unverified sources, but like from big nutrition books by certified nutritionists. It's important to read a lot about the gut microbiome, the gut health, why people advocate for certain diets and why people don't advocate. What is the best thing? Yes, a lot of information can be misleading and contradictory to one another, but it's important to learn by experience, learn by the personal viewpoint of what people say, because that's what works for them can work for you. And what I truly believe, and I truly vouch for, is that food can play an integral part in deciding what diseases you get and what diseases you don't get. Of course, there are different things like airborne and waterborne, but keeping lifestyle in the front point of the center point of what I'm referring to, food plays an important role on how you are. You are what you eat.
Yeah, and to add up to that, we should also respect our food. I think with the generational gap that we explained at the start, a lot of people have started not giving respect. They have like certain technologies, and everything is energy. So with these also affecting, it's become a little bit harder for our bodies to consume the nutrition because we are distracted. So make sure you focus on your food. Make sure that you have your peace and love with your food, and you have positive energy and environment around you. That is very, very important. And we vouch for good health, don't we?
Yes, be more present, keep all the technologies at bay, focus on your food, be mindful of your food, visualize your food, look at your food, smell the food, see how colorful it is, be grateful for it, and have your food. That being said, we hope that you take this podcast in the best light and utilize this in the best way. And remember that nothing is achieved overnight. It takes time and patience, but it's important to be kind to yourself and be
Consistent.
loving towards the food that you eat.
Exactly. And have a beautiful day. See you in the next episode. Signing off
Signing off.
here.